Hey, Owen here, and today I'm going to be building Airfix's 1/72nd scale Lightning F.2A. Airfix provided me with this kit for free, and Deluxe Materials provided me with their perfect plastic putty. However, neither company have paid me or told me what to do or say. Before starting, I washed all the parts in warm soapy water with a splash of vinegar. I painted the interior parts with the colours indicated on screen while they were still on the sprue. A pilot figure was included with the kit, but I decided not to use him as he would block the view of some of the cockpit detail. The parts went together well except for the control stick. I had to use a pin vise to widen the hole for it. It was a nice touch that the air intakes existed inside the model, however they did cause a fitting issue later on. I applied the instrument panel decals with microset decal solution. A dark grey acrylic wash was applied to the cockpit, and then a dry brush of light grey followed to accentuate the detail. I struggled to get the cockpit to fit into the fuselage, and even with a lot of sanding and cutting, annoyingly I couldn't get the fit to be perfect. I used pegs and masking tape to hold the parts in place while the glue dried. The wheel wells had some nice detail moulded into them. The flaps are separate pieces from the wings, so that their angle can be customised. None of the wings fitted flush to the fuselage, so the gaps would require filling later on. Quite a few of these parts that I am currently putting in place required sanding to make them fit properly, which was annoying because they were so small. After an initial coat of Humbrol acrylic primer, I sanded down any visible join seams. I mixed filler and applied it to any gaps in the model. It was now that I finally realised that the filler I've been using is not cut out for model making, so I ordered Perfect Plastic Putty modelling filler, which is very good, and I use it at the end of the video. Once the filler had dried, I sanded it smooth and rescored some of the panel lines with my scalpel. After a second coat of primer, I sanded the whole model with some 1000 grit sandpaper to make it smooth. To create some subtle colour variation in the Humbrol metal coat, I pre-shaded some panels with darker and lighter shades of grey. To get a more chrome look to the nose ring, I painted it white. This technique worked fairly well, although the metal coat was weaker in these areas. After being sprayed with 2 coats of Humbrol metal coat, I masked off the area to be heavily polished with Tamiya masking tape. I stuck the masking tape to a clean CD before applying it to remove some of the stickiness, as it can change the shine of the metal coat when the masking tape is peeled off. I used a scrap piece of cloth to carefully polish the metal coat. After again making the masking tape less sticky, I masked the area to be painted blue and ran a matchstick along the edge to make sure no paint could bleed under the masking tape. I thinned Humbrol 25 blue to a ratio of roughly 1 part thinner to 7 parts paint and applied the first coat. Another 2 coats of acrylic blue followed, thinned to the same ratio. The landing gear was fairly nicely detailed and painted Humbrol 56 aluminium. Lead fishing weights were glued into the nose cone to make sure that the Lightning was balanced and not a tail sitter. Watered down PVA glue was applied to the areas where the decals would go. The smooth semi-gloss finish it leaves prevents the decals from silvering. Decals were held in warm water for about 12 seconds and applied with microset decal solution. See my video on how to apply decals for more information. There's a link in the cards and in the description. After the decals had dried, I applied Microsol decal solution to help them further conform to the shape of the model and give them a painted-on look. The model was then sprayed with a coat of acrylic satin varnish to seal the decals and protect the model from the weathering. I mixed a medium grey-brown using Wilder weathering oils and painted a few panels on the model to create some subtle tonal variation. I did this mainly on the flaps and elevators. The missiles didn't fit together very well and required sanding and holes drilling out with a pin vise. After 5 coats of Humbrol 34 white, they were sprayed with gloss varnish and the decals were applied. The clear noses were glued on with PVA glue to stop the clear plastic from fogging, and they were painted black. The canopy was painted acrylic Humbrol 33 black, and then, once it had dried, neatened up with a sharpened matchstick. Decals were applied to the canopy and sealed with matte varnish, carefully brushed on. A silver tip was added to the nose cone, and the final smaller parts that could have got damaged if I had added them earlier were attached. The canopy was attached with PVA glue, as normal polycement glue would make the clear plastic go foggy. The missiles were attached with difficulty. I had accidentally snapped off part of the canopy hinge, so I replaced it with some perfect plastic putty, which was so much better than my previous filler. Once it had dried, I shaped it with my scalpel and painted it. With that, the model was complete. So overall, this was a good 1/72nd scale Lightning kit, however it was not without its flaws. There were a lot of fitting issues that were annoying to fix, for example the cockpit that really didn't want to fit perfectly between those two fuselage halves, and that was a bit too much effort to sort out. If anyone else has had this problem, please leave a comment below, and it would be interesting to hear about your experience with this kit. Otherwise, I think the moulded detail was very good and accurate, and the decals were good quality and had a lot of detail in them, so that was good. The paint scheme that I chose obviously was a more challenging one, especially if you're a brush painter. If you are a brush painter and you don't want to use lots of spray cans, then it's probably better if you go for the green camo scheme. Obviously for airbrushes, either is as easy as the other one. So I found that satin varnish was better than matte and gloss varnish for covering metal coat, as it doesn't remove too much of the shine or make it look too glossy. However, if anyone has any products that achieve a better finish over the top of metal coat, please leave a comment below. I'd recommend this kit to advanced modelers because of the difficulty of the paint schemes and also the fitting issues of some of the parts. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.